What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today I'm doing a review of The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. I hope I nailed that name right. Um, and click like and subscribe because I actually review documentaries at this level. It's currently on Netflix, and I don't, I guess it's really popular in a certain country that's literally in the plot description. That it's like 100,000 people or something like that saw it in Norway already. It's cool. Um, but obviously this is going to be more of an attraction for uh, gamers. I don't even think it's specifically to World of Warcraft players. And this movie really had me thinking about like a lot of things. Sort of like I had like a momentary existential crisis while watching this film about a lot of things that we'll talk about. But yeah, I appreciated the fact that the film does have audio description. I can't really tell where the audio description stops and starts, and maybe the dubbing and like comes in, and how much of that is. I have a feeling that this is not in the English language, but I don't know if it's all not in the English language. Um, Pretty much a lot of people speak with accents, but that's not impossible. So, but if it's playing really well in another country, so I don't know. I don't know what's dubbing and what's not. I think the parents don't speak English, so they were dubbed. If possible, some characters in here are speaking English. I don't know. But it does have English audio description. So I was able to watch the film, which sort of put me in like this spiral of, but does World of Warcraft have accessibility features that would allow a blind person to play the game? Por qué? You know? Um, it got yeah, one of the rabbit holes. Um, but it's about a beloved World of Warcraft player, Mads, who uh, was wheelchair bound, suffered from a muscular disorder, and died early in his lifespan. But he really enjoyed playing World of Warcraft. He really enjoyed that expansive world, the role playing, being able to be somebody he wasn't, and interacting with people from all over the world, and having this community who saw his avatar. Um, and we see his parents, and they don't quite understand the depth of what this means for him. And to totally be honest, I was quite surprised at the depth and the range of. But then again, I don't think I've ever played a game for 20,000 hours before, which is kind of what. Although maybe I have, I don't know. Xbox kind of keeps track in terms of days, and I had one game that was days played that was like 55 days played or something like that as of the last time I checked, which is a lot of days when you think about 24 hours, and it's I just kind of spread it over multiple games instead of one. So, but Mads was all about World of Warcraft, and I used to have roommates that were all about World of Warcraft. I'm very familiar with the game. I tried it myself. Wasn't quite my thing. I'm more into like the superhero MMOs. So, a massively multiplayer online role playing game. Yes, I do know what MMORPG stands for. Um, I actually I would say my intro to this was City of Heroes back in the day, and then City of Villains, which is basically the same game. Um, and I even tried like the Matrix Online when that launched. That was a god awful game. I did get into World of Warcraft and Elder Scrolls, but kind of my next big one that I spent a lot of time on was Marvel Heroes, and I played it right up until it died, right up until Gazillion collapsed as a company, and Disney pulled the rights from them, from the Marvel characters, the licensing rights, and the game just kind of disappeared overnight. They had announced that they were closing at the end of the year, and they couldn't even make it like an extra month. They just gone. Um, so yeah, I do know kind of what it's like to have an MMO community, be in a guild and stuff like that. And it's fun, and it is a community, and you see sort of the same people. Clash of Clans is another thing. I had a guild on Clash of Clans that I deeply miss. So that's what that was the rabbit hole that this sent me down, was thinking about, because this whole movie is about like when he leaves this online persona. And for so many other people, when you have an online persona, when whether you participate in message boards or Facebook communities or something like that, it's like you're reaching these other people who you've never met before. And then suddenly that person's gone and you just can't talk to them anymore. And I'm thinking about how many people I've met throughout my lifetime, that I would consider a friend, that I've known for years, that I've never actually been in the same room with. And I feel like I lost a lot of those people when I lost my vision, and I stopped really being able to join them on Xbox and video games. And I think pretty much because I had a little period where I was diagnosed and I was losing my vision, so I was able to still play for a little while. I had gotten around everybody and kind of told everybody, listen, this is what's happening to me. So I think pretty much everybody knew what happened. And I used to try to talk to some of them in party chat for a little while, but it's weird to just hang out in party chat and listen to somebody else play a game that you can't play, and then interrupt them while they're in the middle of trying to give out, calls and stuff on games. But yeah, it made me miss that. It made me miss that culture a lot. So this documentary oddly got me in the feels, even though it was about World of Warcraft, which was not my game. It's a game I've played, but it's not my game. I don't even know what level I left at. I don't know, 20, probably. I had a character because my roommates they were like, you have to play this. Okay, well, I'll try. But it just wasn't my thing. So I'm amazed that it still is, and that people are still playing it. And I think that's really cool. The longevity of the game. And I look at Mads, and I look at how he affected all these people, and then they joined for this documentary. Like, somebody heard about this, and then they made this documentary based on, and then people came together and sort of had this tribute for him. And his father figured out a way how to put on the blog like a note to, whoever reads his blog, letting them know that their son passed away. And just the flood of responses that they got from all these people they'd never known before, including pictures of these World of Warcraft avatars, is just, I mean, it's really for people who maybe have, I think a lot of people have a lot of in-life friends, and then a lot of people have a lot of online friends. I do have in-life friends. I'm not going to say I spend my entire life sitting in this chair doing reviews on YouTube, but at the same time, I did have a lot of online friends, and I keep up with maybe only like 3 of them, when I used to have exponentially more. Because I would, again, play different games, so I had different friends based on different games. So it's tough to think about that, and to think about, and I think about like the gamer tags that disappeared too, and I think about like, well, maybe that person is gone because over the course I was playing video games, there were gamer tags that just stopped logging on, and I was kind of wondered why. Like, where'd that person go? That person was really hard into Xbox, and they just vanished. So I think there are other reasons that people disappear, but the sort of the unknowing, I think what the parents did was give his friends closure. And I think that is sort of one of the nicest parts about this documentary. But the documentary really talks about it from sort of Mads' perspective, uses his own words. It's very interestingly shot. As it's as if he's still there in the movie, like he's starring in his own movie. But I have a feeling that it's all just creative storytelling, taking creative licenses to some extent, because obviously what triggered the filmmaker's interest was the community sort of rising up after Mads' death and exploring sort of what it looks like to mourn the loss of somebody you've never personally met online, and sort of how you end up reaching people. And then they do have interviews with some of the players, and they talk about how some people it's just like the letters that they wrote, but some of the people do actually come in for the film and talk about like what his character meant to them. And some of them refer to him as Mads, and some of them refer to him by his in-game avatar. And there's like one specific girl that he kind of was in like a World of Warcraft relationship with. I think that's what we should call situationships, because I mean they were friends, but it's not like they never met. Dating question mark, I don't know that they would say that. She was going through a period where her grades slipped, and she wasn't able to log online, and he was just really understanding. He was always described as like being a warm and kind person, somebody who just and that's what drew people to him. And I think that's kind of what's really interesting about this documentary, is that in terms of a gamer documentary, it's all about who the person was and how he connected to people. It's not really about, man, this dude was really dope on raids. Like, we used to raid all the time, and he like led us. He led the charge. It doesn't take it from that perspective. It takes it really from the RPG perspective of it, which is as if people were logging onto World of Warcraft not to level up and not to raid, but to just kind of hang out, and to really just have an online community. Like, World of Warcraft has become something else where people, where they're looking at it, Blizzard's looking at their game and like, so what's up? And they're like, I don't know. People aren't raiding anymore. They're just kind of hanging out. We created these pubs, and we gave them all these things to do in game, and they kind of stopped raiding, but they're still logging on. So, you know. Part of that could come from power leveling, and I think they had some sort of feature where you could sort of buy yourself in at a certain level based on the packs that were, when they kept doing expansion packs. Anyway, so that people weren't so far behind, because World of Warcraft has been going on forever. Like, are we at 20? Did it launch in, I didn't even look that up. If somebody said 20 years of World of Warcraft, I would believe it. I would believe 2004. Absolutely, 100%. I think if we're not at 20 years, we're definitely close. We could even be at 21. I think we're approximately 20 years of World of Warcraft. So, I like this documentary. I don't know, there are parts of it obviously that I relate to as a disabled person, looking in at this and seeing that he's finding a community. But at the same time, that it's different. Like, not all disabilities, we don't all have like the same shared experience. I joke all the time about audio description, and how one of the reasons why studios should provide it is because I think think we all live in like a commune where it's just a bunch of blind people walking around all the time, but we actually live with like sighted people, and they know that we need accessibility, and it actually pisses them off when we don't have the accessibility that we need. So those that stay with you anyway, I should say, your ride or dies. Yeah, I mean, they notice, and they're like, well, why isn't this there? And then they feel bad that they've chosen something that doesn't have audio description or whatever. So, that's that. Obviously, it gave me a lot of thoughts. I don't even know that they're necessarily about the movie, because even though the film has audio description, I was kind of lost as to like how much of it maybe did they pull straight out of game footage? How much of it did they sort of animate using maybe World of Warcraft animation? where you take the characters and you kind of sort of film something cinematic looking, um, like the Minecraft story movie things. Not the new one coming out, but there are some like Minecraft things where they look like they were made in Minecraft. I think Roblox has done the same thing. Clash of Clans used to have those little cartoon shorts. So I've seen things where they use the characters and they're not necessarily from in-game, but they are in-game characters. So I don't know how much of it is actually, when they describe and they show her like taking the hat from her avatar, taking the hat and then him chasing after her or whatever. Like, I don't know. Is that in-game footage or is that recreation? I'm going to lean towards recreation because that's super oddly specific for somebody to record that much video footage if they are recording and backlogging all of that data. But I think this is a cool film. I think it's a cool film. I don't know that it's a game changer. I'm not really sure it's going to get nominated for an Academy Award or anything like that. I don't know if Netflix is going to run it. They do have daughters, which feel the social justice angle of that film just feels like it's going to be probably their doc priority this year. I don't know what else is coming up for them, but daughters kind of feels like the obvious one. Also Skywalkers. But Skywalker's this feels a little bit more like maybe it would be at Skywalker's level, like a tier 2 documentary for them. I don't even know if the doc branch usually goes for things that you would not predict them to go for, and usually things that people don't like not popular documentaries. So the more popular this thing goes, the less likely it is to to garner a nomination. I don't know that it matters. I think just the fact that it exists and it says something about gamer culture and gamer community. I think it says something broader than just World of Warcraft. I think this speaks to any gamer, anybody who's ever had a community online, regardless of what game it was, League of Legends or whatever you play. If you have a community, you have a community. It doesn't matter what game you have it on. I don't think this is not an exclusively World of Warcraft thing. It's just with World of Warcraft, it's been going for so long that he could have literally started in the game 20 years ago and had 20 years worth of friends. That's entirely possible. That's not what happened, but it is. Like there's a possibility that somebody could be playing the game for 20 years. And World of Warcraft, of course, has been very supportive of their fans. They made the statue for Robin Williams, who was a very well-known World of Warcraft fan / player. And after his death, he got an in-game sort of tribute. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that this exists, and it's free press for Blizzard and for World of Warcraft, and but I do think any gamer will find the heart in this story. The audio description, again, there are questions that I have about what's dubbing and what's not, what is, the voice that's intended for us as an audience member versus maybe what the voice that's provided. They even go to the extent of saying that they had an actor who sounded like Mads reading for Mads. Is that true of maybe because he's not speaking in English? Like, his parents seem to not be native English speakers, and I think they're dubbed at least at the beginning. So they do a really good job of picking up people that have accents instead of picking up people. I've mentioned a couple shows that are international shows that when they get dubbed, they find like the most homogenized voices for characters that are not that at all. The characters that don't like voice talent that doesn't sound anything like that what that character would be. So props if that is. Also, if everybody just spoke English for this documentary, kudos. I great English, I have no idea. But I wish I had more context in what's track versus what's not, and then like what's real game footage and what is not, and like what's worked with the animators and how much have they pulled? Did they pull anything? So uh, doesn't change the structure, doesn't change the heart, doesn't change the reason for why this was made. It just sort of puts like a more interesting spotlight on me as a blind film critic in the way that I access things like this. So there you go. That is my thought on this. I'm gonna give it a I want to give it the same grade that I gave Skywalker's, because that's what I feel like I'm vibing on this. Is that it felt like about the same as Skywalker's, which I think I gave an A- to. So I think it's a strong documentary for Netflix. I would not be all about its awards potential, although I could see maybe some guilds going for it. Guilds going for guilds, you know. But you know, you never know. It also helps that not every documentary is always submitted to critics guilds, and we get what we get, you know. And so a Netflix documentary has a much better shot than a documentary that's being submitted directly to the documentary branch of the Oscars, which most people haven't seen unless they went to the one festival that documentary was at. So yeah, that Netflix helps, but check it out. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.